D&D Beyond now fits in the palm of your hand with the free D&D Beyond app. It's the perfect toolset for beginners, regular players, and seasoned dungeon masters. Play faster with the guided character creator and access your character sheets, spells, and abilities wherever you go. All of your adventures and source books are at your fingertips, even when you're offline. Easily find and access the rules you need when you need them. With more features to come, download the free D&D Beyond app today.
If you guys are just joining us, we're talking terrain and how it can affect and enhance your approach to storytelling in D&D and TTRPGs. I'm here with Nate from Dwarven Forge, Jason from Realmsmith. Thank you guys again for being here. I got a couple of pretty solid questions for you guys. Let's jump into them. So Larir Mejo asks, how would you implement terrain? Jason, we'll kick off with you. How would you implement terrain in games on a small budget? Like, how would you manage your resources? So, like, what's if I was going to start my sort of collection or my approach or start my 3D printing journey or however it is I'm going to do this, my paper crafting, what are some key things to sort of think about getting to focus on?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, general use. I mean, that's the question. That's the answer that everybody would give. Something that you can use over and over again, whether it be a tile system, whether it be something that will appear often, dungeon tiles, things like that that make sense. Wilderness terrain. We started off with papercraft, and I spent like a weekend printing everything because on a budget back then when we started, that was kind of where it happened, and it was great for the time. And then eventually graduated to Dwarven Forge. But I think that just understanding where your players are at, where you want to get your characters to, and then making sure that whatever you get, it's general use. And I say that, I'll use this example all the time, and that is the time that you invest should come back in the value that you get out of it for your gaming experience. So with miniatures, we were talking Warhammer earlier. So the idea is, if you have a TTRPG where you're using an army that you're using every time you play, you're going to want to spend time painting it to the best of your ability because you're using it all the time. I am putting this dragon on the table once, probably a year, if that, because you don't want to necessarily regurgitate kind of the same narrative over and over again. But townspeople or dungeon tiles, as opposed to something that's a bit more epic or specific, probably makes more sense as a starting point, and then you build from there. That's kind of my approach. But I'm a kind of a simple purist that way when it comes to kind of my
Nate, anything to add?
I think a couple of things. One is like you should do what's going to be fun for you, right? Like at the end of the day, like if you're going to spend a bunch of time painting some terrain or some miniatures or some whatever, like do something that's enjoyable. Like don't burn weeks and weeks painting the thing you hate. Like, you should do something that you're excited about and that you want to put on the table and that we're supposed to be doing this to have fun and passion. So I'd start with, think of like, hey, what am I going to have a good time with? But then echoing everything that Jason says, think of things that you can probably use. Like you don't have to build your whole terrain collection all at once, or your whole miniature collection, or your whole anything, right? You start with a couple of things and you can build on it. So generally things that you can use and reuse a lot, like dungeon pieces you're going to end up in dungeons a lot in Dungeons and Dragons, turns out, maybe more so than that dragon. And or some simple wilderness things, some trees or some rocks or stuff that you can use just sort of all over the place. Another really simple, like get some sort of table coverage, right? A battle mat or something that has something printed on. Like you throw out a battle mat, a couple of trees and a couple of rocks, and you have a scene, or a couple of paper craft houses and a thing, and you've got a scene. Or throw it out and then put a couple of decorative bits that are the chest and the trap and the monster or whatever, and suddenly it's the scene is a little bit alive, and you can keep using those elements over and over again, and you can get more and more elaborate as you get into it.
Yeah, promise your partner at the beginning that this couple of pieces is all that's all it's going to be, and that's really all you need, and then
Well, here's the secret weapon: is have kids.
Here it is.
Get them,
listen, folks.
Get them old enough. They need to be like 3. Actually, no, they can start at like 2. So if they're 2, you say these are bath toys for them. If they're like 3 or 4, it's like building toys to teach them motor skills. Then at like 5 or 6, these are storytelling tools to teach them like clever storytelling. Then at 7, 8, well, this is to, this is immersive gaming to keep them away from screen time and whatever. And then at that point, you're already, you're thousands in it.
Then you're invested.
Yeah, you're out to the races. Scroll Initiative has a very practical question that I think pairs well with this how to start. How do you store your terrain pieces?
Everywhere. Yeah, I mean, for me, I use big Tupperware bins and I label them. And we have a lot of terrain. And so, but for papercraft, for example, it really depends on what you're storing. So for papercraft, it tends to not be as durable, quite flimsy. So I have shelves in our office which have all the papercraft on them. Unfortunately, they kind of have to sit there. I've tried storing them in bins, but they just get dinged and bent, and it's just not fun.
Sure.
For Dwarven Forge, I have big Rubbermaid bins because Dwarvenite is super durable, and so we have bins. And I have a big bin for Dungeon. I have a big bin for Wildlands. I have a big bin for whatever, and I'll just pull what's necessary from there. But that's pretty much it. I have a shelving solution with just plastic bins of terrain, and then very specifically kind of labeled that way.
Plastic bins, plastic shelves, particularly like removable ones. So
Thank you, Vanna.
I love these really useful drawers because I pop them out and they're interchangeable, and I can throw them, build with them, throw them back, keep stuff semi-organized. Big bins for bigger stuff depending on what it is, and then those IKEA Alex drawers are amazing, and then you pair those with like little divider things so you can like keep all your stuff sorted by and then slide them in or whatever. But it's just like vertical. You got to go vertical. Lots and lots and lots and lots of shelves and bins and time.
If you are receiving terrain as a holiday gift and you don't hate the colors red and green, I suggest going to a Michael's the day after Christmas and buying up every bit of on clearance ornament storage that they've got.
Scrapbooking boxes, ornament storage, all the
Nothing turned me into a grandmother faster than miniatures. Just in terms of what aisles I shop in at Michael's.
Flat file cabinets are really good too. Those big flat file cabinets for blueprints. I also use these things that are really useful. These 2 foot by 3 foot document trays that you can build on and then stack, carry off. So like
cool. Yeah.
Tray, so I slide this off here, stack it over there, throw another one on. These things are like, you're gonna spend we have our Dwarven Forge forums. There's like just pages and pages and pages of people talking about storage thoughts and ideas because it's a thing. Like it
absolutely is.
I
think this question, this might be I got two fun closers for you guys because you guys are busy. I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you guys, by the way, so much for being here.
Of course.
Like you said when we set this up, I think we could probably sit here and talk minis and terrain for a while. And we're gonna have you back. I'd love to have you guys back to do this some more.
Awesome.
Laria Mejo asked, where can I learn to make some convincing terrain? So we've been talking a little bit about papercraft. Can you suggest some sources?
Oh, there's so many good YouTube.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of my favorites. So the person that actually got me into crafting is Jeremy from Black Magic Craft. It is an incredible channel with lots of really good dollar store bought awesome terrain ideas, foam, tiles, things like that. And then we did a bunch of terrain stuff just off of that sort of world. And then we got into other things in our stream. But and then really on a budget, DM Scotty actually is a big one. And so DM Scotty has a really big channel. He's got tons and tons of videos. He's been doing it forever. We call him the godfather of crafting, but there's this whole kind of like subculture of crafting folks. And if you get to those 2 channels, you'll be able to see everything else. V Muse from WizKids also does a lot of crafting stuff, or did on her channel. There's a ton of really great crafting channels. Just look for like D&D crafting, terrain crafting, and you'll get a ton of stuff.
But you could also invest in a cheap 3D printer, and there's tons of like open source 3D files out there. I mean, that's another endless rabbit hole. Also found like just cool, like weird bottle caps. You splash a little bit of paint on a thing, and suddenly it's this pedestal or dais. There's like, I mean, I've glued together just rocks and pebbles into interesting shapes. Splash a little dry brush, and it looks like a thing. Like there's so many just easy found objects out there. It's I don't know. It doesn't have to be wildly elaborate or
no.
Crazy.
Yeah,
you can also go to Michael's and wander around. They have sometimes there's Christmas Village stuff and Halloween stuff that's on sale. Dude, you can find all sorts of amazing things there for like nothing.
I have a non D&D story for you guys that I don't want to waste the D&D audience's time with once we get off of the stream. But I think you make a good point too. Like this stuff doesn't have to be complicated. You know, I run a sci-fi game sometimes, and you take some plastic containers from the kitchen, whatever, spray paint them in a base black, and then now they're just ominous Ridley Scott Blade Runner looking structures. They don't have to be outright wild. If there's extra styrofoam in your packing containers, what's easy to make? Ruins.
Yes, big ruin. Yeah.
Start scraping with an X-Acto knife. If you really want to cheat, there's so many spray paints now that are just like, you want something to look like old brick, spray this. In my day, we had to learn how to dry brush, but yeah.
But those textured spray paints are amazing. There's some really
they're great.
cool. Yeah.
No, absolutely insane. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate you guys. Jason,
thank you.
Where can people find you on the internet?
Yes, they can find us at youtube.com/Realmsmith, as well as twitch.tv/Realmsmith, and on socials, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We are Realmsmith TV.
Awesome. Please check it out. Thank you. Nate, where can people find you? Not in your terrain bunker.
I'm pretty much always in my terrain bunker, but I'm on Twitter at Nate Taylor, NateTaylor on Twitter. And you can visit us at dwarvenforge.com to see all the things we do.
Amazing. Well, again, thank you guys so much for chatting with us a little bit. Pleasure hanging out with you. And as always, the way I like to end these streams, you guys, if your comment is cool, but I don't have anybody to play D&D with, you absolutely do. Go to our forums, go to our Discord. There are always people looking for games. You don't like the DDB Discord, DDB forum? You know what? Cool. I won't be a company man here. Go to the Dwarven Forge forums. Go find somebody in the Realmsmith comment sections. It's an amazing community, and your people are in it, and you deserve that game of D&D. Until you find it, be safe, be kind to each other, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
D&D Beyond now fits in the palm of your hand with the free D&D Beyond app. It's the perfect tool set for beginners, regular players, and seasoned dungeon masters. Play faster with the guided character creator and access your character sheets, spells, and abilities wherever you go. All of your adventures and source books are at your fingertips, even when you're offline. Easily find and access the rules you need when you need them. With more features to come, download the free D&D Beyond app today.